Hello and welcome to the Chinese Civilization Channel. My name is Timothy, and in this video we are going to continue exploring Chinese civilization starting from the very beginning. In my previous video, we discovered prehistoric China. We looked at all the different culture from prehistory that had happened in China. In this video, we are exploring the beginning of mankind as seen from the perspective of Chinese mythology. And this is encapsulated in what is known as the three sovereigns and five emperors. The three sovereigns here are now considered as demigods, while the five emperors are sages. And so, without saying more, let's go straight into the explanation, and I hope that from my explanation you'll have a better understanding of what are the three sovereigns and five emperors. Chapter 1: The Dawn of Chinese Myth History. Before emperors ruled from golden thrones, before histories were carved into bamboo slips, there was only myth. Not just stories, but sacred truths passed down through the ages shape how the ancient Chinese understood their world, their ancestors, and themselves. At the heart of these earliest legends stand the three sovereigns and five emperors. San Huang Di, a pantheon of semi-divine rulers from a time before time. They weren't kings in the way we think of them today. They were culture heroes, sages, and civilizers, beings who taught humanity the very basics of life. How to hunt and fish, how to plant crops, how to make fire, build homes, govern a tribe, even how to honor heaven and earth. These mystic rulers lived not in palaces, but in memory woven into the stories of a people seeking to understand their place between heaven and earth. The three sovereigns, often portrayed as demigods or cosmic forces, represent the dawn of civilization, each bringing light to a darkened, chaotic world. The five emperors, more human in form, are remembered for their wisdom, virtue, and just rule. They became the gold standard of leadership for generations to come, especially in a Confucian world where morality and merit mattered most. Today, historians may debate their existence, but for the Chinese people, their names still echo through festivals, philosophy, and family lineages stretching thousands of years. From the classic of mountains and seas to the records of the grand historian, these figures live on not just as characters but as ideals. They form the very foundation of what we call Chinese civilization, bridging the gap between myth and history, legend and legacy. In this video, we journey deep into the mystic age to explore the stories, the teaching, and the cultural memory of these ancient beings. And we begin with the first of the three sovereigns, Fuxi the Civilizer. Chapter 2: Fuxi the Civilizer. Our journey begins with Fuxi, the first of the three sovereigns. He stands at the dawn of civilization, a culture hero shrouded in myths and mystery. Half man, half serpent, his image curls through ancient silk paintings and oracle bone myths, always with a gaze calm, wise, and eternal. Fuxi was said to have ruled after a great catastrophe, a flood, a world washed clean, when humanity teetered on the edge of extinction. It was then that he brought order to chaos. He taught the people how to fish with nets, to hunt with traps, and to domesticate animals. He showed them how to cook food, light fire, and live not as beasts but as humans. But Fuxi's greatest gift was not physical survival, it was wisdom. He gazed at the stars, the rivers, the backs of turtles, and from the patterns of nature, he created the 8 trigrams, the Pakwa. These trigrams, made of solid and broken lines, became the foundation of the I Ching, the Book of Changes, one of China's most profound philosophical texts. With the Pakwa, Fuxi gave structure to the universe. He taught the people how to read the heavens, interpret the earth, and align themselves with the rhythm of the cosmos. He is also remembered alongside Nüwa, his sister and wife, who shaped humanity from yellow clay. Together, they represent the balance of yin and yang, male and female, sky and earth. They are the divine parents of humankind. To call Fuxi a king would miss the point. He was a civilizer, a bringer of knowledge, order, and meaning. Where there was chaos, he brought pattern. Where there was instinct, he brought ritual. His legacy is not just in myth, but in every hexagram drawn, every moral principle debated, every attempt to live in harmony with the world. This is Fuxi, sage, seer, and symbol of humanity's first awakening. Next, we meet his divine counterpart, Nüwa, the creator. Chapter 3, Nüwa, the creator. If Fuxi brought structure to the world, then it was Nüwa who gave it life. Often depicted with the body of a serpent and the grace of a goddess, Nüwa is the mother of humankind, shaping humanity with her own 2 hands, one figure at a time. According to legend, she molded the first people from yellow earth, clay from the riverbank, warmed by the sun, softened by compassion. Each figure she shaped came alive, breathing, walking, laughing, and so the human race began. But time was short and the work endless. So she dipped a rope into mud, flung it through the air, and where each drop landed, a new human sprang forth. From this, the ancients believed, came the distinction between nobles and commoners, those handcrafted with care, and those born from the sweep of a rope. But Nüwa's role was not only to create, it was also to protect. When the pillars of heaven were broken and the sky cracked open, when fire raged and floods swallowed the land, it was Nüwa who rose to save the world. She melted down 5 colored stones and with them mended the sky. She used the legs of a giant turtle to prop up the heavens. She calmed the storms, stopped the floods, and restored the balance of nature. Her actions were not acts of war, but of healing, of maternal power in a time of ruin. While others rule, Nüwa restored. She stands as a symbol of compassion, resilience, and divine responsibility. In her union with Fuxi, she represents the harmony between male and female, logic and love, order and nurture. Together, they form the sacred foundation of civilization. But Nüwa, in her own right, remains unforgettable, the creator, the protector, the divine mother who shaped the world with mud and mercy. Next, we turn to the third of the 3 sovereigns, Shennong, the divine farmer. Chapter 4, Shennong, the divine farmer. If Fuxi gave us knowledge and Nüwa gave us life, then Shennong gave us sustenance. His name means the divine farmer, a sage king who taught the early humans how to survive not just in spirit but in body. In the beginning, people lived by hunting and gathering, wandering from place to place, uncertain and vulnerable. But Shennong gave them another way. He taught them how to till the soil, plant seeds, and cultivate crops. He introduced the plow, built from wood and bone. He mapped out the seasons, harnessed the rain, and taught the people to store grain for the long winter months. Under his guidance, wild forests became rice fields. Savage hunger gave way to shared harvests. Chaos turned into civilization. But Shennong's gifts didn't end at agriculture. He was also the father of Chinese medicine. Legend tells us that he tested hundreds of herbs on himself, searching for cures, treatments, and healing remedies. He tasted roots, leaves, and berries, even poisonous ones, sometimes at the cost of great suffering. In one tale, he is said to have been poisoned 70 times in a single day, yet he persevered in the name of knowledge and the well-being of his people. His great legacy was the Shennong Penchaojing, the divine farmer's Materia Medica, a foundational text of herbal medicine. To this day, many medicinal practices in Chinese culture trace their roots back to Shennong's wisdom. He is revered not only as a king, but as a healer, a guardian of both body and land. With his flame-red face and ox-horn headdress, Shennong stands tall among the culture heroes, a symbol of perseverance, practical wisdom, and self-sacrifice. He fed the people, he healed the sick, and in doing so, he anchored civilization to the earth. The era of the three sovereigns comes to a close, and now the time for the 5 emperors begins. Next, we meet the most famous among them, the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi. Chapter 5, the Yellow Emperor, Huangdi. Now begins the age of the 5 emperors, sages who ruled not as gods but as men of great virtue. And first among them is the most revered of all, Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor. To speak of Huangdi is to speak of beginnings. He is not just a legendary ruler, he is remembered as the ancestor of the Chinese people, the one from whom countless clans claim descent. Even today, he is honored as the first patriarch of China. In the myths, Huangdi is born under mysterious signs, wise beyond his years. When the tribes of the north fell into chaos, it was he who rose to lead. His greatest challenge came in the form of a fearsome warlord, Chiyu, a being of brute strength and dark magic. In the legendary Battle of Zhuanxu, Huangdi faced Chiyu in a struggle not just for territory, but for the soul of civilization. The skies darkened, mist blinded the soldiers, and the earth trembled. But Huangdi, ever resourceful, released a compass chariot, the first of its kind, to guide his troops through the fog. With wit and will, he prevailed. That victory wasn't just a triumph of war, it marked the unification of the tribes under a shared identity, a single cultural flame. But Huangdi was more than a warrior. He was a civilizer, like the sovereigns before him. Under his rule, the people learned to build homes, make carts and boats, craft weapons and tools. He is credited with inventing the calendar, writing, and medicine. And through his wife Lei Ju, the secrets of silkworm cultivation were revealed, planting the seeds of China's silk tradition. The Yellow Emperor was the bridge between myth and order, between divine ancestry and human governance, a ruler, a sage, a warrior, and a symbol. In him, the mandate of heaven finds its earliest expression, and from him, a civilization begins to remember its name. Next, we meet his ancient rival and cultural counterpart, Yandi, the Flame Emperor. Chapter 6: The Flame Emperor, Yandi. Long before unity, there was rivalry. Before the Chinese people were one, there were many diverse tribes, ancient lineages scattered across the land. Among them rose two great leaders, both remembered as ancestors of the Han people: Huangdi, the Yellow Emperor, and his ancient counterpart, Yandi, the Flame Emperor. Yandi, the Emperor of Fire, ruled in the fertile lands of the south. Where Huangdi was methodical and strategic, Yandi was passionate and bold, his spirit burning like the sun that nourished his people. Like Shennong before him, Yandi is associated with agriculture and medicine. In fact, many traditions consider him a descendant and incarnation of Shennong himself. Under Yandi's leadership, the southern tribes thrived. He taught them how to grow millet and medicinal herbs, how to prepare food and brew vinegar. He is also credited with the invention of marketplaces, introducing the earliest form of trade and economy. But as populations grew and land became scarce, tensions rose. The northern tribe followed the Yellow Emperor, the southern tribes followed the Flame Emperor. Two visions of civilizations, two paths. Inevitably, they would clash. The conflict came to a head at the Battle of Panqian, a pivotal war in Chinese myth history. Yandi's forces were strong, but the Yellow Emperor's unity and innovation prevailed. After his defeat, Yandi did not vanish. He joined Huangdi in a symbolic alliance. From that moment, the two became one lineage, one people. Together, they are honored as the Yan Huang ancestors, foundational patriarchs of the Han Chinese. In this union of fire and earth, of south and north, of strength and wisdom, a cultural identity was born. Yandi reminds us that even in defeat, there can be a legacy. Even in rivalry, there can be kingship. And through both Yandi and Huangdi, the Chinese people trace their roots not to a single father, but to two ancient flames. Next, we enter the world of mystery and myth with Shaohao, the Emperor of the East. Chapter 7: Shaohao the Mysterious. Not all emperors leave behind legends carved in stone. Some drift like clouds, mysterious, ethereal, half forgotten. Such is the case of Shaohao, the Emperor of the East. Unlike Huangdi and Yandi, Shaohao doesn't command great battles or oversee sweeping reforms. His story is less about conquest and more about cosmic harmony. He is said to be the son of the Yellow Emperor and ruled the lands of the East, where the sun rises and the birds sing. In fact, in some traditions, Shaohao is described as the ruler of the kingdom of birds. Each bird represents a virtue, a principle, or a celestial body. He is the emperor of feathers, the master of time, the keeper of order among the stars. But historical texts differ. Some say he never ruled as a sovereign at all. Others claim he established a court of 100 officials, each assigned to manage a specific aspect of heaven and earth. In this version, Shaohao becomes a symbol of divine bureaucracy, a mirror of heaven's structure reflected in human governance. He is also deeply tied to the elements of metal, the direction of the east, and the white tiger in Chinese cosmology. To Confucian historians, Shaohao's legend poses a puzzle, too mystical, too vague, too poetic. But to the ancient storytellers, he was a bridge between the celestial and the earthly, a sovereign not of fields and cities, but of cycles and stars. Whether real, imagined, or somewhere in between, Shaohao's place in the lineage reminds us that not all power is visible. Some rulers lead by symbol, by presence, by myth. He is the whisper between day and night, the breeze before the dawn. And as the eastern sky glows, we move towards the center, toward one of the most influential of the 5 emperors, Zhuanxu, the emperor of the center. Chapter 8, Zhuanxu, the cosmic ruler. From the eastern sky of Shaohao, we now turn inward to the heart of the world, to Zhuanxu, the emperor of the center. Grandson of the Yellow Emperor, Zhuanxu is remembered not for warfare or invention, but for something far more enduring: order, cosmic, moral, and spiritual. In a world still young, where heaven and earth often mingled and spirits roamed freely among men, Zhuanxu brought separation. He was the one who, according to legend, severed the link between heaven and earth. Why? Because in those early days, the spirit world and the human world were too close. Chaos threatened to overwhelm structure. Through ritual and decree, Zhuanxu established the rules when and how mortals could speak to the divine and who was worthy to do so. He is said to have abolished widespread shamanism, restricting spiritual authority to the ruler and his court. From this reform, the roots of ancestral worship and ritual hierarchy began to take shape. He also divided the empire into 9 provinces, laying a foundation for territorial governance that would echo through Chinese history. In this way, Zhuanxu was a cosmic ruler not just of lands and people, but of time, direction, and sacred boundaries. He realigned the calendar, coordinated the seasons, and placed rituals at the heart of governance. Where Fuxi gave the people the trigrams, Zhuanxu gave them structure. Where Shennong brought medicine, Zhuanxu brought morality. And where Huangdi united tribes, Zhuanxu united heaven and earth through ceremony. He is also remembered as the great-grandfather of both Emperor Yao and Emperor Shun, ensuring his legacy would echo in their golden age to come. Zhuanxu may not be a household name today, but in the grand architecture of Chinese civilization, he is one of its silent architects. Next, we meet Emperor Ku, sage, musician, and the father of a dynasty yet to rise. Chapter 9, Emperor Ku, the Sage King. From the cosmic order of Zhuanxu, we now turn to one of the most cultivated and revered figure of the 5 emperors. Emperor Ku, the Sage King of harmony and virtue. A descendant of Huangdi and great-grandson of Shaohao, Ku ruled with wisdom and serenity. He was the very image of a Confucian ideal centuries before Confucius was born. His reign was marked not by war, but by balance between heaven and earth, man and nature, ruler and people. He is said to have possessed great spiritual insight and a deep connection to music. In fact, Emperor Ku was believed to have invented several ancient instruments, using music not just for pleasure but to teach order and emotion, a language of the heart and soul. He also expanded the bureaucratic structure of early governance, appointing ministers based on ability rather than bloodline. His court, it is said, was filled with those of high virtue and pure intent. But perhaps Ku's greatest legacy is his lineage. He fathered a number of sons, and among them were the ancestors of two of the greatest sage kings in Chinese legend, Yao and Shun. Through his bloodline flowed not only royal authority, but a tradition of moral excellence passed from one sage to another, not through conquest, but through virtue. To the people, Ku was more than a ruler, he was a model of enlightened kingship. To later philosophers, he was proof that a ruler could lead not through might, but through example. And in a time when heaven still whispered to earth, Ku listened, guiding his people through wisdom, not weapons, through culture, not conquest. With Emperor Ku, the path is now laid for the golden age of Yao and Shun. Next, we meet Emperor Yao, the ruler of legendary virtue and endless humility. Chapter 10, Emperor Yao, the benevolent sage. In the long twilight of mystic age, one figure shines with unmatched brilliance. A ruler so just, so humble, so deeply loved by his people that his name became synonymous with virtue. He is Emperor Yao, the benevolent sage. Born into the line of Emperor Ku, Yao did not seize power. He was chosen not for his strength, but for his moral clarity. He ruled with a light touch, a clear mind, and a heart devoted to the welfare of all. Under his reign, the heaven and earth seemed to move in harmony. Floods were tamed, justice was upheld. The people flourished not because they feared their ruler, but because they trusted him. Yao is most remembered for his role in confronting one of the greatest disasters of the mythic age, the Great Flood. For years, the waters surged across the land, drowning fields and washing away homes. Yao entrusted the task of flood control to Kuan, who failed. But Yao did not punish blindly. Instead, he looked to Kuan's son, Yue, who would later become Yue the Great. This decision, this ability to see potential where others saw failure, is what defined Yao's role. But Yao's most legendary act came near the end of his life. Instead of passing the throne to his own son, he searched the realm for a successor of true merit. He found him in a humble farmer named Shun, a man of deep filial piety, patience, and unwavering principle. This act, choosing virtue over blood, set the standard for what would later become the mandate of heaven, that rulers must lead by example and that authority is earned, not inherited. In Emperor Yao, the ancient Chinese saw what a ruler could be: a guardian, a listener, a servant of the people. Next, we meet the one he chose, Emperor Shun, the model of humility and filial devotion. Chapter 11, Emperor Shun, the filial paragon. Chosen not by birthright but by character, Emperor Shun stands as the final jewel in the crown of the 5 emperors. A ruler remembered not for conquest or command, but for something far more powerful: filial piety. Before he wore a crown, Shun was a humble farmer, often of love but not of duty. His stepmother was cruel, his blind father unjust. His half-brother tried to harm him, and yet Shun never abandoned them. He served them with patience, respected them without anger, obeyed without bitterness. It was said that he could move hearts without a word. Wherever he went, harmony followed. Fields grew more abundant, neighbors grew more kind, the air itself seemed to brighten. When Emperor Yao sent envoys to observe this mysterious commoner, they returned in awe. And so Yao put him to the test, assigning him ever greater responsibilities: administration, ritual, law, flood control, and in each role, Shun excelled, not by domination, but by quiet strength and unwavering virtue. At last, Yao made a bold and unprecedented decision. He passed the throne not to his own son, but to Shun. And so began a new era, not born of dynasty, but of merit. As emperor, Shun upheld rituals, respected the heavens, and governed with integrity. He continued the great flood control effort, laying the groundwork for the man who would succeed him, Yi the Great. When his time came, Shun too followed the principle of meritocracy. He passed the throne not to his own children, but to Yi, whose toil and selflessness had saved the people. Emperor Shun reminds us that greatness does not always roar. Sometimes it listens, sometimes it endures. In the arc of Chinese myth history, he is the final bridge from sage kings chosen by virtue to dynastic rulers who would claim the mandate of heaven. Next, we close our journey with a reflection on the enduring legacy of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. Chapter 12, From Myth to Mandate, the Conclusion. And so, our journey through the mythic past draws to a close. From the divine guidance of Fuxi, Nüwa, and Shennong, to the noble reigns of Huangdi, Yandi, Shaohao, Zhuanxu, Ku, Yao, and Shun, we have walked through the mist of legends, through an age where heaven still touched the earth, when rulers were not conquerors but civilizers, healers, sages, and examples. These were not emperors in the historical sense. There were no capitals, no dynasties, no borders drawn in ink. What they left behind was far more enduring: values, wisdom, identity. The 3 sovereigns gave humanity the tool to live, to hunt, to farm, to create, to survive. The 5 emperors gave humanity the moral compass to thrive, to rule with virtue, to choose merit over blood, and to seek harmony between earth and sky. Together, they laid the cultural foundation of what would become Chinese civilization. Their stories shaped not only ancient myths, but political philosophy, ritual practices, and the very idea of what it means to rule justly. And though modern historians may debate their historicity, their truth lies elsewhere, in the ideals they represent, in the way they taught the Chinese people to see themselves as descendants not of mere men, but of sage kings and divine civilizers. From these legendary roots would grow the concept of the mandate of heaven, the belief that a ruler's right to govern is not inherited but earned through virtue. It is this idea that would shape the dynasties to come, beginning with the Xia. But that is a story for another time. For now, we leave behind the age of legend and step into the dawn of history. guided by the echoes of the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors, still whispering through the rivers and mountains and the hearts of the people who remember where it all began. And so, my friend, that concludes our video on the 3 sovereigns and 5 emperors. And what does this matter? It matters because according to Han Chinese tradition, that was how Chinese civilization began. Of course, we may dispute it as a legend or a myth, but this is the belief of how it all began in a grey, foggy area between prehistory and history. And in our next video, we are going to look at the first dynasty of Chinese civilization, which is the Xia dynasty. Until we meet again there, if you have enjoyed this video, please take a moment to give it a like, because that will help so much on the algorithm, and subscribe to the Chinese Civilization channel so that I can bring you some more videos that touches on different aspects of the Han Chinese civilization. Okay, and so that's all for today. I thank you for watching this, and it's Timothy here signing off.